Greetings, I am the wrestling fan. I may not be the best wrestling fan, but I am the finest. Now what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to play catch up in a way. I'm going to do some quick reviews over the last 4 pay-per-views I've missed in the wrestling world. I watched them, and I watched them all live, but, well, minus Roadblock. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch that live. Didn't really care, but I caught up and I watched the whole thing. But because I was on my hiatus, I didn't get to do my usual pay-per-view reactions. And as you can see, with my new setup here, the pay-per-view reactions are going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be in my living room. It's not going to be put together the same way. I'm just going to talk about it, give my opinions, and, you know, hopefully hear from you guys about whatever your opinions were, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit. And of course, from now on, I'm going to try to get the pay-per-view reactions done as quickly as possible. Payback is actually tonight, and I'm going to watch that and hopefully have the pay-per-view reaction out the following day after every pay-per-view. Now, before I start, I did want to comment on one thing. A lot of you have been saying that you wished I would review, you know, if TNA has a special show or a pay-per-view, Ring of Honor pay-per-views, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would love to do that as well. Not really with TNA, but it would be nice to kind of see what they were up to. I would love to watch every Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I would love to watch New Japan's pay-per-views or special shows, whatever they call them. I would very, very much enjoy that. But unfortunately, I can't really get that stuff. You know, unless New Japan Pro Wrestling puts it live on their New Japan World online. I know Ring of Honor, they'll put their stuff online, but they've kind of switched over to pay-per-view, and I can't get them. So unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I just watch the WWE stuff. I would love to watch all of Ring of Honor stuff. And, you know, maybe I'll start watching their weekly television shows or commenting on them, but at the same time, if I did that, I'd have to comment on NXT, Raw, SmackDown, which I wouldn't mind doing, but when it comes to that in the future, I probably won't do videos of doing the weekly TV shows. I'll just write a short article on my Facebook page, which you can find the link below this video. So maybe I'll do that, maybe not, we'll see. But I'm getting way off topic. For now, I'm going to do my pay-per-view reactions for the last 4 pay-per-views that I've missed. Okay, first off, we have WWE Fastlane, which is such a stupid damn name for the pay-per-view. I wish they would come up with something a lot more clever than Fastlane. It just reminds me of racing, and if you like racing, great. I fucking don't. It's stupid. You go in circles. And that's the funny thing with this pay-per-view. It was basically just them going in circles. Just nothing changed. Nothing felt any different. You knew the outcome of basically every single match because they're not going to fuck shit up, you know, during the Wrestlemania period every year. They're just not going to. And sometimes they need to. And this was definitely one of those times. I'm not going to go through every single match and give my thoughts or whatever, or I'm not even going to do what I did in the old pay-per-view reactions where I just show a short reaction. It's not that. I just want to give my overall opinion on the event. And I have my cell phone next to me with the results, so I may have to look at it sometimes. I'm not going to remember every damn match, but I just want to give my overall thoughts. And honestly, it was a pretty decent pay-per-view. We had a lot of good stuff. We had AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho in a really, really great match. Their matches would get better, but the fact that I'm seeing AJ freaking Styles on a WWE pay-per-view and he beats a big star like Chris Jericho, and some of you may go, well, that doesn't mean anything anymore. Yeah, it does. Chris Jericho is a future Hall of Famer. He's a legend. For AJ Styles to come in and make his pay-per-view debut in terms of an actual match, I know his debut was at the Royal Rumble, but to do that against someone like Chris Jericho, who you know he's going to have a great match with, that's awesome. And the match was great. It really, really was great. I've watched it a few times. Let's see. We had Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio and a 2 out of 3 falls match for the U.S. Championship. That was actually a really good match. I'm not a big fan of Alberto Del Rio. I see where he's talented, but I don't think he's that talented. And I love that Kalisto has the U.S. Championship. I really do. They're not doing much with him. unfortunately, but the match itself was good. Women's tag team match sucked. This came before, they actually took the women's division seriously and named it the women's division, but we'll get to that. Oh, Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. Another really great match. And Kevin Owens had so many great matches during his reign, his 2 reigns as Intercontinental Champion. And, Dolph Ziggler is ridiculous and always has great matches, and they mesh together. That's a really, really phenomenal match. I probably should have used the word phenomenal during the AJ Styles part, but whatever. Good match. The 6-man tag match, it just shows again how they're wasting the Wyatt family. I know they're kind of prone to injury nowadays, but the way that they have completely fucked up the Wyatt family bugs me. I may have to do, I don't know, some special video on it, but it pisses me off. Okay, Charlotte versus Brie Bella. It wasn't anything great. I really have nothing against the Bella twins. I don't think Nikki's that great, even though she improved. I don't think Brie's that great, even though she improved. They both improved greatly, but I don't find them very good. Charlotte is very good, not so much on the mic, but she's kind of improving when she doesn't cry. She's just like her father. But it was nice for Brie Bella to get one final shot at the time, the Divas Championship. She deserved it. She earned it. The Bellas did kind of carry the Divas division. They didn't make it better, but they did carry it. So it was good for her to have one final go at the title. So I'll give them that. I'm not even going to comment on that. Okay, the main event. For the #1 contendership for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to see who would face Triple H at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar. And we all fucking knew that Roman Reigns was going to win. But we still got a pretty decent triple threat match. It wasn't like Seth Rollins, John Cena, Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble the previous year. But it was still better than I thought it would be. It wasn't that bad. But the outcome was very, very much what everyone expected. And that's going to kind of be the pattern while I go over these, except for one. But again, we'll get to that. So, my final rating for WWE Fastlane, I will give it a 3 out of 5, because the U.S. title match was really good. You got AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens, and the main event was actually very passable. It was very entertaining. So 3 out of 5, I think, is more than fair. It was better than a lot of the pay-per-views that they put on, especially towards the end of the year. The issue is they don't want to rock the boat, and I honestly think they should just get rid of that pay-per-view entirely. All of these matches could have happened on Raw or even SmackDown, and you probably would have gotten better ratings for it. And that's an issue that they do with these type of matches. The issue that they have, they just want to put these matches on a pay-per-view, which I don't get, because it's whatever. But let's move on to the next one. WWE Roadblock. Another phenomenal fucking name for a pay-per-view. Okay, I guess I shouldn't call this a pay-per-view. It's a WWE Network special. And it certainly was special. Every single match that was on this special could have happened on Raw. The main event of Dean Ambrose and Triple H, it was a very entertaining match. They actually have good chemistry together. It is very good. I hate to say it, I like Dean Ambrose a lot, but I'm getting a little sick of his shtick. I really love his character. I wish WWE would let him just go, but they seem to be too afraid, probably because they don't want him to outshine Roman Reigns, which is fucking stupid. But the main event was good. It really, really was, and the whole foot under the rope controversy, how his foot really wasn't under the rope or whatever, it was pretty stupid, and they screwed that up. But the match itself was very, very solid. But again, it should have been the main event of a Raw. They never have main events that go like 30 minutes, or it's pretty rare. And that would have probably made some money. Dean Ambrose is very popular. And to have Triple H defend the title on TV would have gotten you some ratings, because since it's on the network, no one's going to buy the network for WWE Roadblock. It's stupid. But anyway, the rest of the pay-per-view, it sucked. It sucked. It was just a bunch of nothing. The only good match that there was Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Team Soft. That's not their name, but that's what WWE was going to name them. Went up for the NXT Tag Team Championships against the Revival, and that was an excellent match. It wasn't super long. It was like, how long was that? Yeah, a little over 10 minutes, but the tag team matches NXT produces are always amazing, and this was the best match of the night by far. I mean, by far. But everything else, like, there was some decent I mean, Charlotte and Natalya, that was a really good women's match, or Divas match at the time. Even Sami Zayn versus Stardust was actually very entertaining, but these were still matches that could have happened on Raw. And there's really, yeah, there's like, Chris Jericho fought Jack Swagger? When the hell was the last time we saw Jack Swagger? There was nothing here. I won't even comment on the rest of the show. So, even though there were 2 really good matches, and or really 3, the women's match was a really good match, just not really their best. The best match Charlotte and Natalya had, which I'm glad Natalya's back into the fold on this, was the match for the vacant NXT Women's Championship at, I can't remember which NXT pay-per-view it was, and I'm calling them pay-per-views because they're much better than the WWE pay-per-views most of the time. But it was when Paige went to the main roster and had to vacate the title, but that match they had, it's on the NXT Blu-ray set, it's on the network. If you haven't seen it, watch it. One of the best women's matches I've ever seen. And this one was good, but could have been on Raw. So honestly, I'm giving WWE Roadblock a 2 out of 5 because it was completely worthless. It should not have happened between WrestleMania and the last pay-per-view. But let's go ahead and move on to the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 32. I'm sorry, it should be called WrestleMania Star. Just like WrestleMania 31 was WrestleMania Play Button, because Vince McMahon doesn't want the numbers in WrestleMania anymore. Makes sense to me. And I know a lot of you are screaming right now, WrestleMania 32 was not the next pay-per-view. I'm saving NXT Dallas for last, okay? Because after these 3 pay-per-views, I need something good to go to. Let me get that up on my phone real quick. Alright. WrestleMania 32, it had a lot of good in it, okay? And if you didn't take it super seriously, it really was a blast to watch. It was way too long. It was. By the time the main event got there, oh god, that should not have been the main event anyway, because, you know, a 4-hour event, 5-hour event, 6-hour event, however long the entire thing with the pre-show was, the crowd already didn't give a shit about the match. They're already going to hate Roman Reigns. You know, it's too much. They're going to have to work on that for next year. They really are. But I get that they want to get all the talent on WrestleMania because big paychecks, and they deserve, even the smallest of talents deserve it. But personally, I found WrestleMania 32 to be a lot more entertaining than I thought it would be. It had a lot going for it. The pre-show matches, they sucked. I mean, Kalisto Ryback was okay. The women's match wasn't very good. The tag team match sucked, they all sucked. It opened up with the ladder match, of course, for the Intercontinental Championship, and it was awesome. I mean, yeah, it's just a big spot fest, but there was a lot of stuff with Kevin Owens, my favorite guy, and Sami Zayn, one of my other favorite guys. A lot of stuff with them, but everyone got a chance to shine, really. And the ending was shocking. It really was. And I usually don't try to do spoilers or anything, but this is really old. It's not like when I do Payback after tonight, you know, I won't. No, I mean, it's dumb not to. This isn't a movie. This isn't a TV show. But of all people, Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship, and that was such an awesome moment. The crowd reacted. I was shocked. I really was. I figured Kevin would lose, but I didn't think Zack Ryder would win, and he deserved a WrestleMania moment. He really did. I know he lost the title the next night, but you know what? He can say that he won the Intercontinental Championship at a WrestleMania, and not many people can say that. So he got his WrestleMania moment. He deserved it. I hope he gets another chance with the belt, but we'll see how it goes. But it was a great opening match, a lot of fun, kept me on the edge of my seat, got me into the pay-per-view. Oh, okay. And then next up, Chris Jericho, AJ Styles. I'll use it this time. Phenomenal match. You know, they haven't reached that place I thought they would get to, but I gotta remind myself, Chris Jericho is still in phenomenal shape. He is, I need to find a different word, but he's still in amazing shape for his age. He can still go. He's not as fast as he used to be. And I'm not knocking Chris Jericho. He's in his mid-40s. He still performs at a better level than most of the talent on the roster, the main roster. So, but they never reached that epic height, but they got close. And this was definitely their best match. It was. It was great to see AJ Styles at a WrestleMania. I just came when I saw that, you know. And I know people were kind of tired. This was like their fourth match. And I was a little too, but why are you complaining about seeing AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, more of that? Every match they've had has been great, and this was definitely their best. The outcome with Jericho winning, it was an odd booking decision. AJ probably should have won, but it didn't hurt him. You know, he beat Jericho twice already. Jericho beat him once, so it tied it up. And maybe in the future there'll be a fifth match, and AJ will win that. Maybe they're planning something for the future because Jericho's still hanging around. So, but still, it was fantastic. I loved it. I won't comment on League of Nations, New Day. That was stupid. The only good thing about that was New Day coming out, their entrance, the best of the night. It was fantastic. The big box of Bootios. I love the New Day so much. They crack me up. It's so good. The biggest disappointment of the night, I won't say the worst match, even though it probably was, Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar. We were promised a battle of epic, almost bloody proportions. I figured they would let blood in this match. They're trying to change their programming. I thought they may start with this. The match needed blood. If we weren't going to get blood, fine, but it needed more violence. It was the most pathetically put together match, and it did nothing for Dean Ambrose and honestly hurt him a lot. I really feel like they're trying to hold him back because he's so much more popular than Roman Reigns. The way they booked this, Brock Lesnar did not need the win, and I'll go ahead and say it. I'm getting tired of Brock Lesnar. He doesn't do anything. He hasn't helped any talent at all. None. You guys can complain about Triple H, you can complain about John Cena. They've helped talent, and they've put talent over quite a few times. Brock Lesnar hasn't. And I understand his character is supposed to be like undefeatable, but they could have still had him win this match, but had Dean look so strong coming out of it that the fans would have just been like, God, that's a tough son of a bitch. Kind of like Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. Like, Dean couldn't have been pinned, and maybe Brock had to choke him out to win the match because he would not stay down. Roman Reigns kicked out of 4 F5s last WrestleMania, one more than Undertaker did at WrestleMania 30, but that was for WWE. But this match was pathetic, and it's universally agreed upon that the match was awful. It really was, and I think it's the worst match of the year so far. There will be worse matches, but this was the worst and most disappointing. It was a piece of shit, and I felt bad for Dean Ambrose for having to be a part of it. The build-up was fine. It was really good. I enjoyed it, and I was excited for Dean Ambrose to get a big WrestleMania moment, and they just cut the legs out from under him. And again, you know, where's Brock now? He's not there. Whatever. All right, after that, we had the match of the night. The triple threat match for the new WWE Women's Championship. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. The match wasn't perfect. Few matches are. There were a couple botches, but they covered them up very well. The crowd was very into it. The new WWE Women's Championship looks beautiful. And the fact that they made it look identical to the World Heavyweight Championship, whosever idea that was, thank you. Brilliant. And it looks pretty. It doesn't look overly pretty, you know, because they're women. It looks like a damn championship belt. It's the best women's championship I've ever seen. Oh, God. But the match itself, it lived up to the hype. And finally, women were given a chance. It's the best women's match in WrestleMania history, bar none. You can't name a better one than this. And they were given 20 minutes for everything. That's unheard of. They're treating the division with respect. And these three women, They lived up to the damn hype. And I know a lot of people were upset that Charlotte won in the ending. I personally like the ending. Ric Flair interfering, she's a heel. Like, I would have been fine without it, but it made sense. And Sasha's going to get her moment at SummerSlam, guarantee it. And Becky will eventually. You know, she was kind of the third wheel in this, but she still did a damn good job and deserved to be there. It only would have been better if it was a Fatal 4-Way with Bayley, but, you know, it's fine. She'll be on the main roster eventually, probably fairly soon. But the match itself was match of the night. I'll call it my favorite match of the year so far because it's about time women's wrestling got the damn respect it deserved, especially in WWE. So, congrats, and fuck the Divas division, fuck the Divas Championship, throw them in the trash. So anyway, next up, okay. Shane McMahon, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell. The build-up for this match was sometimes awesome, but most of the time horrific. And I know originally it was supposed to be John Cena Undertaker, and that would have been a huge match. And they really didn't have anybody else for Undertaker. He's already beaten Bray Wyatt. You know, you can't do him and Brock Lesnar again. You know, if they had never done the other two Lesnar Undertaker matches, they could have. So they kind of screwed themselves on that, and Taker could have gotten his win back, or gotten the match back at WrestleMania 32, and that kind of would have been a cool way for him to cap off his career if he actually is retiring. But, you know, when I saw that Shane came out that night and the pop he got, it made me so excited. When they set up the whole match with him and Taker, and a lot of people thought that Shane would get a replacement. I still don't fucking understand why people thought that. I don't get it. I don't understand how a lot of you people think. It's really weird. But, and Shane got in phenomenal shape. There's that word again. I need to change it. I need to get a thesaurus if I could fucking talk. That's what you do it when you just talk in a video. You're gonna fuck up. But the match itself was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Just chaos. Shane getting the shit kicked out of him. You know, Undertaker doing his thing. It's a very enjoyable match. I don't know what people were expecting. Should it have been Shane winning against Undertaker? Yes. But they couldn't do that, and they weren't going to do that. So, it is what it is. And Shane jumping from Hell in a Cell, I never thought I'd see that happen. Kudos to him. I know there were airbags under the table, but you know what? It hasn't bothered... No one's complained about it because there should have been airbags. He shouldn't kill himself for this damn match. But again, Shane McMahon, even though now he's in his 40s, pulled a great match out of his ass. Taker was still Taker. I hope that isn't his last match because it seems like a weird one to go out on. Now, the build-up and the aftermath is terrible. They could have made it so good. And a lot of it was good, but most of it was crap. And the aftermath of Shane still running Raw every week makes no fucking sense. It doesn't. But you know what? I'm happy that Shane is sticking around. He's been a plus, and the Raws have been much, much better. It's a new era, apparently, and it's going pretty well so far. But for this match, I'm very entertained by it. I love the match. I'll watch it again, you know, and again. It's just fun. And sometimes, I think a lot of fans, they just don't have fun with this crap. And I knew what the match was going to be. I knew Shane probably wouldn't win. I just had a blast watching it. And sometimes you just have to do that in wrestling. Just have fun. That's the whole point anyway. I take shit too seriously sometimes. Some of you take it way too seriously sometimes, okay? Just have some fucking fun. But anyway. And then after that, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I like that it was on the main show. It wasn't super long. I won't say much about it. It really was not very entertaining at all. It really wasn't. It didn't live up to last year's. It was terrible. Or even the year before, to be honest. But Baron Corbin won. It was great to see an NXT guy win something like that. So good for him. And he's been winning me over. You know, I like his gimmick. He's been improving a lot more, which is more than I can say for Roman Reigns. Yeah, the Rock segment with the Wyatt family was fucking awful. The whole Rock winning in 6 seconds, complete waste. Cena coming out, raising his hand. They could have cut that whole fucking thing out. They really could have. Rock came back for that. Give me a break. Went on for like 20 minutes, too. It was stupid. But now we get to the controversial main event. Okay. The match itself was fine. Even though it should have been an all-out war. But they put too many matches like that on there anyway. And for some reason at WrestleMania, on the shirts, on the truck, it said no DQ match, and they changed it. And they shouldn't have. Because they kind of needed that stipulation to get the crowd into it. A little bit. Actually, that probably wouldn't have helped anyway. Because the crowd was completely against Roman Reigns. And we all know now that WWE, they muted the microphones. Because you could hear how loud the boos were. It was 90% of that building, maybe more. And I'll go ahead and say this. I don't hate Roman Reigns. I see the potential. The way they've booked him, I feel bad for him. Because the way WWE has booked him has been some of the worst booking I have ever seen in my life. They can't just go with the flow and change it. WrestleMania 30, they changed it because they knew it wasn't working. Why didn't they change this? It's awful. Like, they just... And to me, I didn't think Triple H's heart was in it. I think he knew what the match was going to be, and he didn't seem to give a shit. He really didn't. And knowing how smart he is, he probably disagrees with what they're doing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns needs to be a heel. He would be a fantastic heel. And the heat would make sense, and it would just be fantastic. And him going against all these better wrestlers and winning, he'll just keep getting heat and keep getting heat. And when someone finally beats him, they will be a huge star. But they're just not willing to do that. They think he's going to be the next Hulk Hogan, and it's just not going to work. It's honestly, the way they're doing it, they're screwing up his future because now it's never going to work. There's still a slim chance, but Jesus. But I wasn't looking forward to this match at all. I was hoping there'd be some kind of swerve. I was hoping Roman would turn heel, something. But of course nothing. They did a A to B match. It went on for almost 30 minutes, which... whose fucking idea was that? It could have been cut in half and been a lot better. But no, it is one of the worst main events in WrestleMania history. Not because of match quality, but because of the build-up, which was atrocious, and the outcome and the fact that they just wanted to like get past this match. And if that was the case, it should not have been the main event. The Hell in a Cell match, honestly, would have made more sense. Even though I don't know, at least the crowd would have went home happy. But anyway, yeah, the match, terrible. I'll never watch it again unless I have to like review it or something, which probably will, because it's pretty bad. It would be nice to remember that match in a year and to go over the build-up and everything. So, I'll keep that as a thought. But anyway, I give WrestleMania Star 3 out of 5. Because there was a lot of good in this match. There really was. You have the opener ladder match. That was a lot of fun. AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, that was great. The Triple Threat women's match and the Hell in a Cell was very entertaining. That's a lot. That's the majority of the card. And yeah, there was a lot of awful too and weird booking decisions, but I still found WrestleMania 32 a lot more entertaining, and I was more into some of the matches than I was at WrestleMania 31. The majority of those matches I didn't give a shit about. It wasn't that it was a bad WrestleMania. It was good from beginning to end, but I didn't care. I wasn't invested. I was invested in the opening match. I was invested in the women's match. I was invested even in Hell in a Cell and AJ and Chris Jericho. That's more than most WrestleManias I've seen. So 3 out of 5. Maybe one day I'll do a complete review of this, but that's how I feel at the moment after watching it. So, last but definitely not least, NXT Takeover Dallas. Okay, as usual, there was no fucking way in hell that WrestleMania was going to outdo an NXT pay-per-view. And again, I call them pay-per-views because they are, okay? Because they're always great. I have not seen one, even if the matches weren't as stacked as the one before or after, it's still great. And some of the best wrestling on the damn planet. NXT Takeover Dallas, I mean, it was like every match meant something. Every match you knew was going to be good. And they were. Hang on, let me see. There was only one match that wasn't great, but we got to see the NXT pay-per-view debut of a fantastic star. And they put the Apollo Crews Elias Sampson match on the pre-show, or a dark match, or whatever. Good decision. I love Apollo Crews, but that Elias Sampson character, it's one of the few misses NXT has had. He's got a great look. I wish they'd give him another gimmick because he is terrible. but I don't have enough good things to say about NXT. It's the same as the rest of you. And I'll go ahead and say it. 5 out of 5. For the whole event. It was 5 out of 5. Maybe even a 6 if that's possible. I mean, the opener, American Alpha finally winning the NXT tag titles. They are my favorite tag team right now. And for them to beat the Revival, and I like the Revival. I like what they're going for, but it's American Alpha's time. So good. The match was a little sloppy at times. I don't know if they were nervous or what, but even so, another great tag team match. And I screamed when they won. I was so happy for them. Austin Aries, Baron Corbin, not a great match, but to see Austin Aries in NXT was great. And Baron Corbin's improved a lot. It was fine for what it was. The only, okay part of the night. And of course we have the match of the night. I should probably change what I say. I said earlier that the Triple Threat Women's match was my favorite match of the year. That's not true. I probably shouldn't have said that because I somehow forgot. Shinsuke Nakamura making his NXT debut against Sami Zayn in his final NXT appearance. Shinsuke has become one of my current favorites. He's probably number 2 after Kevin Owens. I haven't seen a shit ton of his work, but I've been trying to catch up. And he is just his charisma, his wrestling style, the King of Strong style. Oh God, it's just, he's so good. And it was I didn't think he'd ever come to NXT, but he did. And him versus Sami Zayn, that's a dream matchup. I don't think they've ever wrestled before, but I could be wrong when Sami was El Generico or whatever. But yeah, the match was it was flawless. That was, to me, that was a 5-star match. It not only lived up to the hype, it exceeded the hype, and that's rare. And Shinsuke looked so comfortable in the ring. Sami was awesome as usual. The loss didn't hurt Sami. Shinsuke won. What more can I say? It was the match of the night. It was the match of the year so far. At least in the States. But that was my favorite match of the year. The Triple Threat Women's match is a close second. But, yeah, that's just great. And then I was really looking forward to Asuka and Bayley. And it's the best. If there wasn't a Triple Threat Women's match the following day, or I'm sorry, 2 days later, that would have been the best women's match of the year so far. It's the best women's match Bayley's had since her and Sasha's Iron Man match last year. Not that she hasn't had great title defenses, but this was competition, and Asuka is very different, and it was just almost a flawless match. It was so good. And the crowd was kind of worn out after Shinsuke and Sami, but they really got into it. And Bayley's still, one of the most over people in NXT. But the ending shocked me. I was shocked that Asuka won, but very happy. The loss didn't hurt Bayley because she passed out. It was tremendous booking. Great booking, because it didn't hurt Bayley. It made her look even tougher. And Asuka got the championship. It was great. Highly recommend that. I recommend the whole damn event if you haven't seen it. But the main event, Finn and Joe, it was a little disappointing. And I'm only saying that not because the quality wasn't there. It was fantastic. But Joe got cut open early on, and they had to keep stopping the match. And it's not that the match wasn't great. It just kind of took away from it from me. They need to stop doing that. If somebody gets busted open naturally, especially when it's on a pay-per-view on your fucking network, just let it happen, because it added to the match and it was great. Joe bleeding, and just it added to it, and it woke the crowd up, but then they kept fucking it up. So even though the main event, it was very good, I felt bad for him because it kind of took the crowd out of it with the continuous stoppages, and it took me out of it too. And I was shocked that Finn won. I know Joe was supposed to win. They changed their minds. Joe won it now at a live event, which, even though I would have preferred that he won it in Dallas, I kind of like that he won it at a live event, because it's going to up the ticket sales of live events, and it really makes you like, wow, anything can happen in NXT. So maybe it's good that they waited. It's really cool. I'm just glad Joe finally won it. I love Finn, but he's really done all he can do in NXT. He needs to move on to the main roster, because I don't think they're going to fuck him up. But again, 5 out of 5. It was fantastic. As usual, NXT is always great. So those are my pay-per-view reactions for the last 4 pay-per-views, and Payback is tonight. I will put this out today, and hopefully tomorrow, I should be able to, I'll put up my pay-per-view reactions to Payback. And Payback looks like an awesome pay-per-view. Hopefully there's some surprises, and the match quality should be damn good. I'm looking forward to it. So, good to finally catch up on these. I'll have some more videos for you soon. Later, bitches.